Hi there. Welcome to Apple World. That hard Kevin let you know he wasn't going to wear a dress until they offered it to him, and afterward he put it on. What did he say after he wore it? I went with my own choice, duh. Yet you didn't make it before they brought it up. Did you say it's okay? It's okay. Kevin doesn't need to stress over the things individuals will say regarding him wearing a dress due to the long queue of dress-wearing individuals before him. So my disappointment with Katt Williams comes from you continuing to point at Hollywood. This is the white man. This and this. When do you get a sense of ownership over your activities? Kevin Hart is terminating back at Katt Williams after Katt's stunner interview with Shannon Sharpe, where he uncovered Kevin's supposed gay issues with Illuminati elites. In an X post, Kevin called Katt irate, saying he should relinquish his resentment somehow. Yet that was after Katt plunked down with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay and called out elites in the satire business for not being entertaining and pursuing faster routes to get to the top. He additionally got down on Kevin Hart and others for gatekeeping, selling their spirits, and participating in gay customs for popularity. Katt's scorching comments started contention via virtual entertainment, and large numbers of the comics he got back to have terminated at him, calling him a consideration searcher. However, Kevin's reaction is the most fascinating in light of the fact that Katt and Kevin have been arguing furiously for a really long time yet. What precisely did Katt say regarding Kevin's supposed gay undertakings, and how did Kevin answer the situation? We should separate it. That is the reason you understand what the main occupation of someone who sold their spirit in Hollywood is. They all do similar work. Katt Williams, as of late, plunked down with Shannon Sharpe for an episode of the web recording series Club Shay, and his remarks in that interview have the whole parody industry trembling in fear, as it currently has very nearly 40 million perspectives. In the meeting, heckled out humorists for purchasing their direction to the top, either through selling their spirit or stepping on others to excel in regular Katt Williams design. Nobody was protected from getting strays when he began going off, and Katt essentially laid out a battlefront with the whole satire industry. He got down on everybody from Kevin Hart and Steve Harvey to Ricky Smiley, Cedric the Performer, and Faison for lacking satire ability. He likewise called them lethargic and unfunny, saying these folks pursued faster routes to get to where they are in their particular professions. One of the primary humorists who whistled out was Ricky Smiley, and he had a ton to say regarding him. Katt uncovered Ricky as a liar, saying he had no acting ability. Katt's problem with Ricky began in light of the fact that Ricky guaranteed he was at first cast for the job of Cash Mike, which Katt brought up was a through-and-through lie for setting Friday After Next is a parody show highlighting numerous comics, including Katt, who assumed the part of Cash Mike. Currently, as per Katt, he had an issue with the underlying film script since it contained a scene where Cash Mike got tried in the restroom, which Katt felt was superfluous for an alleged satire film. Katt brought up that essentially nothing about paper is entertaining, nor have any significance the conditions or individuals included, and it shouldn't actually have been remembered for the content. In any case, he said he needed to interest the film chiefs to allow him to revamp the content, promising him would make it multiple times more amusing in the event that the ESS scene were excluded. The illustration Katt was attempting to rescue once again from this episode was that few coercion performers like Ricky Smiley were on the film team. However, they saw nothing out of sorts with a scene where a person of color got aid, and this focuses on a lot more serious issue in the business, which includes people of color being examined and deceived by industry elites. Katt said he was so irritated about Ricky's activities that he ensured it was remembered for his agreement that he could at no point ever work with Ricky in the future, except if Ricky were in S and exactly as expected. Ricky wore a dress in his next film, First Sunday. Smiley answered Katt the day after the meeting was delivered, keeping up with his past position. Ricky explained that the paper scene was excluded from the content until Katt was given the job. He likewise underlined that he had no worries about Katt, and it's all affection from his side, yet Katt was not feeling decent at all since he didn't stop at Ricky Smiley. In that interview, he additionally had smoke for Steve Harvey, whom he accepted was similarly just about as useless as the remainder of the business. He hauled Steve for continuously guaranteeing the motivation behind why he quit stand-up satire was that he previously had 7 network programs when he didn't, and he quit doing stand-up on the grounds that he had 7 programs. The main issue is the point at which he halted stand-up. He didn't have those 7 network programs. He halted stand-up in light of the fact that he got in a satire fight called The Title of Stand-Up Parody with one Katt Williams in Detroit in front of 10,000 individuals and lost since Katt Williams said he was really bare, and that was a hairpiece, and I went in, and that is the reason he was unable to do stand-up any longer. Envision him coming to recount to you another story where he got so enormous and it was Bernie and them shortcoming cause they needed to be celebrities. Katt said the genuine justification for why Steve quit stand-up parody was that V embarrassed Steve when they got into a satire called The Title of Stand-Up Parody by uncovering Steve's sparseness before 10,000 individuals then, at that point, whistled out Cedric the Performer for taking his jokes back in '98. At the time, Cedric purportedly thought Katt was an unheard-of entertainer whom he could take jokes from without anyone seeing. However, the turn was Katt had proactively played out the joke on BAT's Comic View 2 times, and it had done so well that it got him a thunderous applause, and they made it part of the business. Cedric even purportedly went behind the stage after the show to salute him on such an extraordinary execution, and afterward, 2 years after the fact, Cedric played out a similar joke for Beat Him, possibly changing the word vehicle to spaceship, and afterward, when Katt stood up to Ed, Cedric about it said the course of events of when the two of them made the quips didn't arrange, so he could never have taken Katt's joke. Katt then, at that point, brought up that a portion of the elites in the satire industry have framed a secrecy that attempts to cut anybody down who doesn't kiss up to them, and the comics he referenced, like Steve, Ricky, and Cedric, are a portion of the individuals from that secrecy. However, he was not exactly finished with getting down on entertainers, since he then centered around Kevin Hart, calling him an industry plant. Katt Williams brought up that Kevin Hart's come-up story simply didn't make any sense in light of the fact that Kevin didn't have an effective vocation as a comic before he began getting significant television arrangements. And after 15 years in Hollywood, nobody in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show. There was a line for him to truly get standing applause at any satire club he previously had his arrangements at when he arrived on top of that in Kevin's narrative with Chris Rock. Kevin clearly guaranteed his parody childhood was on the East Coast, so it appeared plausible for him to all the while guarantee he was in Los Angeles the entire time, as per Katt. The explanation is that Kevin, as of now, had his arrangements prior to coming into Hollywood, since he offered his spirit to Hollywood elites, and in return, those individuals put him there as an industry plant. Katt has consistently disapproved of what he sees as Kevin's absence of guidelines. In the meeting, he brought up that Kevin said he wouldn't wear a dress on television until they offered him one, and afterward, he put it on and guaranteed he had gone with his own choice, despite the fact that he didn't contemplate settling on that choice before the business made him to. Katt has recently discussed the pattern of dark male entertainers being compelled to wear dresses on television, saying it was essential for the Hollywood objective to castrate people of color, and Katt isn't the main individual who shares this conviction in light of the fact that Dave Chappelle recently addressed this matter in 2006 when he showed up on The Oprah Show. In that episode, Dave uncovered that he didn't begin drawing an obvious conclusion about Hollywood's masculation of people of color until he was given a job in a film he featured in Close by Martin Lawrence, where he needed to wear a dress even after he let the makers know that he felt wearing a dress was not pertinent to the scene they recently continued constraining him while advising him that every one of the greats had done. Maybe it was some rite of section they didn't let him be until they acknowledged he wouldn't wear the dress. Dave then, at that point, made sense of that the issue was not about the actual dress, the issue was with how the business attempted to drive dark male specialists into a corner to perceive how far they were ready to debase themselves for cash and popularity. That is the reason, as per Dave, he once turned down a $50 million arrangement from Funny TV since he realized he could acknowledge that cash without surrendering a specific piece of himself. He likewise discussed how these huge media organizations were offering him cash to compose draws that made individuals chuckle at him, not with him, like on the off chance that he didn't effectively embarrass himself, he wouldn't be permitted to get rich and popular now. When Kevin Hart was approached to remark on Dave's cases that people of color were being compelled to embarrass themselves for cash in 2012, he said specialists genuinely must safeguard their image and not cross their limits on the issue of wearing a dress. He didn't precisely say he wouldn't wear a dress in any case. He said he had never needed to cross any lines, and his own convictions had never been tested up to that point, adding that he could never do something he would have rather not done, only for cash. Yet, only a year after the fact, Kevin showed up on a SNL play wearing a dress. Naturally, this brought about serious reaction from fans who blamed him for being a sellout and being phony, since he was propagating the Hollywood undermining of people of color. Katt would later resolve this issue in a meeting. Subscribe Apple World for more videos.